Hey everyone, in this video I'd like to introduce the phase checklist to you. We know that it can be overwhelming sometimes to plan for your sessions, to keep track of where you're at in a certain phase, to know where to find things on the drive. So we created this tool for you, and we hope that it's helpful to have more of an overview of all the activities for each phase, where to find them on the drive, and all the resources we have for you. So I'll just show you how it works. Here below, you see all the phases from phase 2 to 5. Phase 1 is not included in the checklist simply because you don't have to plan for your sessions in phase 1, but all the other phases are here. So you just go to the phase that you're in. That is also the phase that you have access to on the drive, as well as the previous phases. So here for phase 2, for example, you see under phase 2 checklist the goals and objectives for that phase. And I'd actually recommend to open that again and see what that phase is all about, where you're at. If you're in phase 2, what are still goals to work on? Where do you already see growth? How do these goals align with your personal goals? To just keep yourself motivated and to know what to focus on during your sessions and outside of your sessions. So here you see the different activities. For phase 2, that is the wordless picture books. First of all, you see a link to the instructions on how to do that activity in case you need a reminder, and then a link to the different books we have available on the drive. So for example, The Good Bird. And then you can check off the boxes here when you do an activity during your session. For example, you do it in the present tense, you describe all the pages, you check off the box. You do it in the past tense, your nurture records the story for you, and then you retell it in your own words. It's really up to you if you want to check off all the boxes, all the activities that you finished. This is really a tool to help you, but it could be really helpful to have more of an overview of the things that you've already done during your sessions, and then things you still want to do in future sessions. And you would also be able to see if you, for example, do a lot of books in phase 2 or stories in phase 3, how you could maybe add a little bit more variety in your session plan. So to also have some other activities, like here you see on the right, there are different activities in phase 2. For example, the lexicary, the listening, reading, and writing activities, and grammar activities. So for the lexicary, you will also see instructions here, and then links to different pages of the lexicary book to give you some ideas on what to do in phase 2, what situations to talk about, to record, and then to know how to do that outside of your sessions. So for example, for greetings, first your nurture records that situation for you. It could be as a simple story, but most of all, the focus will be on the phrases that are being used. And then next time you can do it as a role play. So you get more and more familiar with those phrases and you'll be able to use them yourself. So for the listening, reading, and writing activities, there are different resources. And here are also instructions on how to start reading and writing with GPA. You also see the pronunciation workshop here, which you can do from phase 2 or up. And then the grammar activities. You see the verb practice, the sun and moon letters, but also the input-output activities. And input-output activities you can really do in any phase. This is all about patterns of speech, that you hear people use words a lot. You maybe don't know exactly what it means or how to use it yourself. It would be really good to do an input-output activity for those kind of patterns, grammar patterns or words. So here's a link to folder for the busy pictures. And in case you don't have a word that comes up during a session, you can just pick one word from this list that are really helpful to know and be able to use from phase 2 or up. So in case you have difficulty reading the words in Arabic, you can just ask your nurturer to pick one for you and to do an input-output activity with that specific grammar pattern. Then you see lifestyle participation here. This is actually something that you focus on outside of your session. When you're learning about language and culture in your session, you want to put that into practice. You want to build relationships with the people around you by using your Arabic. So here are ideas of things that are really good to practice in phase 2. So then in phase 3, the same idea, goals and objectives, instructions for the different activities, and then links to different stories for phase 3A, and below you also find 3B. So here you see a link to the story in English and also a link to the story in Arabic. So before we only had all the stories written in Fusha, so your nurturer still needed to translate those stories into Amiya while recording it or before your session. So to make it easier for the nurturer, we now have text available where the story is already written in Amiya. So your nurturer can just directly read the story from this text and record it for you. And we even have some recordings available that are already made. You can find them in the same folder with the Arabic Amiya text for the stories. And we're still hoping to add more Amiya stories and recordings. So here you find the script of life and the shared experiences. As you can see, there are not links to different resources on the drive. This is just a list of different ideas for things you could do for the script of life or shared experiences. And of course, you can also add your own ideas or things that you have already done during a session that are not included on the list. Lexicary again, where you can continue practicing those situations, mostly as a role play. And of course, there you can also add different situations as well. Listening, reading, and writing, which looks a little bit different in phase 3, the grammar activities, and then lifestyle participation, where you continue building those relationships, especially where you want to have some people around you that you could hear their life stories in phase 4. Because phase 4 will be a lot about what people around you share with you, where you can ask more about culture and people's lives. So here you also not find a lot of resources or links. This will be really the questions you ask to your nurturer about their life story, different ideas that come up through different recordings that you can add here, as well as ideas for detailed observations, walk of life, lists of life, record for feedback, different ideas you have or different things you have already done, whole finding. And then again, grammar activities, where you want to start using those grammar patterns more and more yourself. So the output will be really important in phase 4, that you start using those different grammar patterns. Here we also have Omani proverbs and recordings of those proverbs that you could do in phase 4. And something new that we added as well is the Arabic situational phrases, which is really similar to the lexicary. But here you can have a conversation with your nurturer about one of these topics or situations, and then hear from your nurturer the phrases that they use in that situation. And then next time you can do a role play with your nurturer to practice that, so it comes out more and more spontaneously. Reading resources specifically for phase 4. And then we have phase 5. Also, it looks pretty empty here just because you can set your own goals here, things you want to talk about, things you want to hear people talk about from podcasts, YouTube channels, Instagram pages, and so on. So you can just add the topics that you've talked about already, or anything else that you want to do in the future. And in the end, you see here the reading resources, where you can also focus more on FUSA if that is one of your goals. So this is the Phase Checklist. We hope that it will be a helpful tool. Please reach out if you have any question or any feedback, anything that you see is missing or that would be helpful to add. Or if you just want to plan individual coaching when you need help planning your sessions, or when you just need ideas or encouragements, please reach out. We're ready and available to help you. Thank you.